Hello, Ida. How
Hi,
are
Razan. How are you, Kifik?
I'm good. I'm good. I hope that you're having a good morning so far,
So far, so good. Thank you.
and hopefully a good first week of the year in 2024.
I'm ready for Friday already, but we'll take it as it is, day by day.
Day by day, hour by hour at this point.
Yeah.
But you know. So good morning to you again. And I just want to welcome everyone who is listening to us today, our friends and allies and followers with the Arab American Occupational Therapy Group. It is a new year, so we wanted to check in, Ida and I, and give you a little bit of update about our co-founder, Dr. Nafai, who is thankfully went home and he is still recovering and working to get his strength and function back. So we wish him the best of luck and full recovery, hopefully, inshallah. And I just want to thank everyone who reached out and extended their wishes for him for a full and speedy recovery. It means a lot to us and to him. So please keep the love coming and keep your support coming. We need it. So yeah. Um, so that's what we wanted to say to start with as an update. We also wanted to drop a really quick video to tell you, or like, to speak about something that is really important since it is the new year. We've been noticing, like I've been noticing a lot of people, which is, it's habitual. A lot of people are coming up to me and to everyone else, and we're using the greeting Happy New Year. And we were talking, Ida and I, the other day about why that sounds so hard to hear now at this point for a lot of reasons. So we wanted to check in and talk about that because the point of this group is to spread awareness about things, about being together, about unity, about empathy, about togetherness. So we owe this to you to make a clarifying point when it comes to this year and how Arabs are doing and how we're feeling about it. So
Yeah. Just to add what you were saying, the idea of this conversation came out of not nowhere, but you and I were just updating one another. How's everything going? And then we just both looked at each other on the screen. By the way, it's not a happy new year. There's like a lot that we need to unpack. And if this is how you and I feel, then
mm,
the chances are many of our allies, many of our fellow Arab Americans are feeling the same way. So I'm really glad that we're using this platform to shed light on the fact that is it a happy new year? It's a new year, fresh start, but with old things that we haven't been able to pack up and put to the side,
right.
really.
I agree. So, again, like, I speak to my experience. I definitely wish everyone a happy year. Whether you are part of the Arab community or not, everyone deserves a happy year, I guess, or has the right to have a good time. However, I think one of the things that has been bothering me with people exchanging this so loosely this year is the idea that there's so much going on with the Arab community and there's so much going on. And although there's so much love and support pouring to the Arab community, that is not the case in a lot of the spaces that you may have. So one, definitely I encourage you to check on your Arab friends, Arab colleagues, co-workers, students, patients, and neighbors. Check on your neighbors. And I think this is like a universal principle when it comes to humanity. Check on people around you, but especially more true to the Arab community. There's so much going on. And I can say it's like in our community, in our small community of AOTG, what happened with Dr. Nafais also has been really hard for those who know him and to this group. So check on your friends and check on the Arab community. So in short, I can tell you, Arabs, we're not okay at this time, and it's not a happy year for us. It hasn't been a happy year last year, so be mindful of that whenever you exchange the greetings for the new year, like Happy New Year. Just pause for a second and maybe try replacing happy with peaceful year a good year, a unifying year, something that would speak to the reality of things.
And on top of that, again, we're not saying that the Arabs are the only ones who are facing this. Um, just in general, being mindful, I think it's important for us to be mindful that every individual might be going through something. There are communities that have been perhaps going through some things for a long time.
Yeah.
But we're speaking from the Arab experience because both of us are Arabs. So I just want to clarify that to our observers today. You know, as an Arab American, I still hold a lot of sense of pride for being both Arab and American. And holding that pride really high, it takes a lot of work. And I'm very appreciative of having a community like Razan, Saeed, and even my fellow students who come to check on me. Check on us. We'll check on you, that's for sure. But we're going through something. And to other marginalized communities, to other communities who haven't had their needs met in a while, we're reaching out to you. Consider this a small step in our plea.
Right.
This is really a small step to our plea.
Right. And I want to add to what you said, Ida, because that reminds me, Arabs are known for their pride.
Yeah,
Very
too
proud.
much.
We're too much. We're very proud individuals and culture. And this is highly regarded in our culture, not seeking out help, not reaching out for support, because it comes with the Arab identity of being proud, independent, and a sense of I got this, I can take care of myself. Because again, suffering in our culture is a sign of faith, it's a sign of resilience, it's a sign of determination. So if you see a student or a coworker or a friend who says like, oh, I'm fine, they may not, that may not be the case. So just remember that it is cultural. It does come with the Arab identity.
And that's very closely linked to another point I wanted to talk about today, the toxic positivity. I read an article the other day, I'm forgetting where, but I could share it with the participants later on, talking about the toxic positivity. We always see the positive vibes and on Instagram, the statements of gratitude. Although there is a place for those things, sometimes it doesn't fit exactly what you're going through. And then when I see that stuff, I say positive vibes. It's not working. I feel more guilty. So reading this article talked about how it's okay not to be okay. And I said that earlier. So when you are checking in on if you have a sense of pride for being the oldest child and having to take on so much responsibility, or in our case, being Arab, I wish I could say this to myself more and to my parents. It's okay not to be okay. It really is. And what does not being okay look like as an individual, as a daughter, as a wife, as an academic?
Right.
Razan, you and I are front facing. We are student facing all the time. So we often have to put on not a show, but really put on that different cloak and pretend that everything is fine and dandy in front of the students. But to my students, sometimes when I close my office door, it's really because I need a minute to not be okay.
Right.
Um, and I think it's important for everyone to know that you as a clinician, as an academic, as a person riding the subway,
Mm-hmm.
are you okay? Is the person in front of you okay? Now, I'm not saying go make friends with all the strangers, but being mindful about that and how it impacts even the smallest things you need to do in your life.
Correct. And I think my problem with toxic positivity is you use it too much, then it desensitizes feelings of not being okay, and it becomes not the norm. The norm is everyone is okay, and putting that front as you said it. And with that, we lose our authenticity and our authentic interaction with one another. And we becomes like, oh, I'm expecting you to say you're okay because I don't want to deal with your feelings, and I don't want to deal with your struggling or experiences. And that's okay if we are not healthcare professionals who we have the core of our existence and practice rooted in empathy. And again, I did want to talk about empathy. And empathy, it's a term that we use so much in OT to the point that honestly, we lost touch of what it means and how it should look like. I I would put a dare, like I dare you tell me, like not you, I don't obviously, but a lot of people don't know what that means. And we use it, interchangeably with sympathy, and it's not the same. And I think empathy comes from a much more authentic, mindful, um, curious place. If I want to empathize with you, it means I want to understand your experience and what you're going through. And with that comes the idea that what can I do to help and to give you the space to be you and express what you have. So I think we need to reconnect with empathy and question if do you really empathize with the Arab community right now?
Yeah.
Sympathy is present. I see it. It's heartwarming. It's very much welcome and needed. But the kind of conditions that we are in now, we need more than a sympathy. We need a deeper empathy. And that looks like you listening to what I have to say, giving me the benefit of the doubt if I don't say what you're expecting me to say, understanding that, seeing the humanity behind that social front that we all put in, as you said, taking a minute to be with yourself in the office, or just talking to your friends who you can be yourself with. This is us being thirsty for empathized or empathetic interactions with other people, because we're losing that touch. We're losing that human connection, and me giving you the space to, I get you, I give you the space, I accept you, and I appreciate your human experience. And this is why Happy New Year is problematic, because it clearly shows, at least at face value, that this is not active. Empathy is not activated right now. And day in and day out, and the more interactions, we lose touch with, how are you actually doing? We never ask, really, it's like, how are you doing? We're just like, oh, how are you doing? How was everything? How was your weekend? How was your... So this fluff greetings becomes problematic, because it makes us, it leads us to a place where we assume that we're okay. We take things like its face value, and we forget to check on one another and help each other go through tough times.
Yep. I think the first step to differentiating sympathy versus empathy is if you were to Google it, if you were to actually write the difference between sympathy and empathy, you'll find that there is a chart that shows you the questions to ask when you sympathize versus when you empathize, and the statements that you make. Sympathy is, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Or the most famous sympathy is, well, at least it's not you. Well, at least it's not this and that and that. Whereas empathy extends on that. Well, how do you feel in this situation? And I'll admit, we get scared of that. Us as individuals who might not be okay, us ourselves are afraid to go into that empathy for ourselves. So first step, I think, would be for you as the clinician, as a student, as an academic, whether you're Arab, American or not, sit and ask yourself those questions.
Mhm.
If you are an ally, sit and ask yourself those questions, and then go ask it to your
Mhm.
Arab American, Arab ally, Arab friend, Arab coworker.
Right.
Practice it at first and practice getting uncomfortable. Because a lot of us avoid that because A, we think we can't handle it, or oh my God, listen, I'm at the water cooler. I can't be here for half an hour. Well, maybe don't ask that question at the water cooler. I
Mhm.
think we need to actually really punch out some time to sit and check in with one another.
Right.
And you're right, as occupational therapists, it's in our theoretical models, it's in our foundation, yet we have lost touch.
Mhm.
I'm not blaming the OT profession. I'm not going to sit here and blame insurance companies that aren't paying us overtime. Um, but we need to make time for that. If we can make time for TikTok and all that stuff,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
it's
And
hard to see. It's hard to see. OTs we're pretty epic at that.
Right. And you'll find it rewarding when you actually authentically ask the question and create that space and listen with curiosity too. And I
Yeah,
think that's the piece. We were not curious. When I ask you, just want to ask you to show, and that's another layer of empathy that is a little bit superficial. It's like I want to show that I empathize and I do want to help, but I don't want to get too involved.
yeah,
And that's another layer that I would take it other than just like, oh, I hope you feel better or whatever. But here's what you could do to help, like those people who is like, I want to empathize with you, saying things like, oh, I'm sending you thoughts of whatever. I'm sending you positive energy. I'm keeping you in my prayers. I'm keeping you in my thoughts. And these are not harmful, but I question how helpful they are. So
yeah,
instead of saying to someone, I'll keep you in my thoughts, how are you keeping me in your thoughts?
yeah,
By asking something, it's like, what can I do to help you go through this time?
yeah,
This to me is a little bit more empathetic than, oh, I'll keep you in my thoughts and prayers. Like you're on the shelf somewhere.
yeah. I'll share a story. We can go on talking about this for a whole hour, but let's not. I'll share a story of a perfect example of a coworker who showed true empathy. She knows that I am an Arab American Muslim, and in recent times, it's been hard. We know what's going on around the world, down the street. I'll always say that there is injustice happening right down the street, but I'm talking from an Arab experience. She came by my office, and instead of saying, "Hey, how are you?" as she was walking, which is what we tend to do, we pass by, "Hey, how are you? How you?" Yeah, she came into my office and said, "I just wanted to check in on you because I know this is something that is meaningful to you. I'm not making any assumptions, but I just want to see how you were doing because I thought of you when I heard that
Mhm.
on the news, and I know that this is something meaningful to you. Are you okay?"
Hmm. Yeah.
She showed it in her body language. She showed it in the way that she entered the room and the way that she paused. And then she asked, "Is this something that's concerning you?" She didn't make the assumption.
Mhm.
And that to me was a beautiful example of empathy. And it turned into a deep conversation where I had a story behind how I was feeling. And I'm not saying that we always need to justify that we're not okay. So that's something maybe that you could do. Just look at your body language when you're speaking to someone who's not okay. And it doesn't have to be about Arabs, it could be anything. I thought of you when I read this in the news, and I want to see if you're doing okay considering what's happening.
Yeah. To your point, also like empathy shines through.
Mm,
Someone is asking with empathy, you can tell.
yeah.
Always, if you don't mean it, maybe as you said, like don't ask it like, when you're like in a rush or something. Just, either pause and give that or like check in, or maybe it's not a great time. Maybe say, I've been meaning to check on you. I will find the time to have a conversation. But meanwhile, if you need anything, like, let me know. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people, checked on me, and I could feel the empathy, coming through the text or the email or the phone call. So, and it's worth it. It's worth it. It keeps us together. This empathy keeps us together, keeps us from losing hope and faith, and pushes us to be there for you when you're going through something, you know.
Yeah.
So again, long story short, check on your, Arab friends and community. Show empathy. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take a lot. If anything, again, it's rewarding. You feel like you've communicated authentically, with deep reflection and curiosity. And I think it's something to expect out of healthcare professionals taking oath to helping everyone who needs help. So that's all I have to say.
Absolutely. So, to our observers, to our watchers, allies, friends, we both hope that this year has a lot of peace, health, and wellness ahead of you. Um, Thank you for watching. We're here. We've been here. We'll continue to be here. And you know where to find us. Thank you for all of your continued support, and we look forward to more discussions. We'll be back with some more informative videos, but we just want to check in and put a pin to what will, inshallah, be a good new year.
Yes, I wish you the same. Have a good year, a year that you feel good about and feel at peace throughout the year. And again, remember, we're here, as Ida said, stay tuned for the things that we'll be doing once we, collect ourselves after a really rough end of the year for our community. So be well and be safe, and we will see you soon. Bye.
Massalam. Bye.